Old Puddle's been giving me a little grief as of late, cutting out a couple times on the highway. I think we're having a little electrical problem that we're going to have to diagnose. It didn't really take a rocket scientist to figure out that as it was cutting out on the highway, the way to get it started again was to grab onto the clutch and flip this here ignition switch up and down about 5-10 times really quickly, and then see the RPMs kick back on, let go of the clutch, continue on my merry way. Obviously, we got a problem with the ignition switch, and it's going to have to come out. What I'm going to do this time, though, is I'm going to take a look at that switch and see why it's failing. We're going to see what's wrong and throw a new one in, but we're going to replace it. Also, I keep having these buttons shoot out at me, and I'm going to I found the button that shot out at me for the starter, but I'm going to go and fix it more permanently so that this time the button doesn't shoot out anymore. So here is a switch that I've removed today from the motorcycle. I scraped off a lot of this Permatex gray here. I want to point out that when I put this Permatex on, it was not for the purpose of keeping water out of the switch or anything like that. It has a very cheap Chinese feel to the connectors. They wiggle a lot, these 3 posts. And the gray, which I use as a gasket maker on the shovelhead exhaust, was used to shore that up so these wouldn't vibrate. And that's what that was for. And that does not inhibit the switch in any way. What I'm going to do is I have a 5-volt square wave that I'm going to run through here. And then I'm going to have the output appear on this oscilloscope over here. And then we're going to wiggle the switch and whatnot. And we're going to see the reaction of the output there and see how bad the switch is, what kind of bad way this thing is in. So we'll set that up and take a look now. I'll shut off the light from this camera so we get a better view. Holding the switch very carefully, I turn it off and on like this. See on the scope, off, on, off, and on like that. And this is just fine if I'm really careful. Obviously there's no motorcycle connected to this. It's not running or vibrating. The problem is if I move any of these pins in the back ever so slightly, just a little bit, I have to readjust my hand here. If I just touch a pin, we can see that the position of the switch is still on. I have not moved the switch. It's still in the run position. But if I push a pin to the left a little bit or to the right, then you can see the ignition cuts out. We lose the circuit, and you can see it's bouncing. I don't know if it's a dirty contact, and what I may try and do for this particular switch is I'm going to use a little deoxit on it. You can see, I think it's the top one. I'm getting a feeling that, yeah, as I touch this top one, we can see that, there we go. Yeah, barely holding on with the connection. We're going to spray a little deoxit in there and see if it restores. I'm wondering if the close proximity of the switch, and this is all I'm doing, is just going like this. You know, there's a good solid metal connection on here. You can see the alligator clip is on the solder bead, and yet this is what we're seeing. You know, so I'm put a little deoxit in there and see what we get. After using the deoxit on the switch, I'm seeing a noted improvement here on the stability of the switch in the run position. I'm torquing these pins, not to the point to break them, but I'm getting nothing now. I'm getting nothing. I mean, if I pull them off, obviously you're going to see a response, but there's nothing that was exhibited just before. I'm thinking that possibly, though I'm not sure, having that a slight leak in the seal of the brake fluid reservoir, that some of that may be getting in here somehow and gumming up the works, because I mean this switch is now absolutely fine. I mean, there's just nothing wrong with it anymore. I just can't get any deflection at all, anything to move. You know, this could actually go back as a spare. I really didn't think about it, and I guess it's good to have a spare anyway. This only cost me a couple of bucks, but this had to be done anyway because you know, this week one of my buttons actually shot out at me for my starter. So the bike had to be taken out of service, and this thing was causing me tons of problems. So I got a new switch in. I was able to solder the post real nicely and see that this is an issue that's not so much a failure but a maintenance item. And Shovelhead's going to be back on the road. So yeah, this is done. Thanks for watching.